You're listening to CreepGeeks Podcast. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/CheapGeek. So it begins again. Welcome back to the CreepGeeks Podcast. This is episode number 150.
Top 9 paranormal news and events of 2019. FBI investigates Bigfoot.
Yeah. So welcome back. It begins again, our podcast, right?
Yeah.
Something's a little bit different this time, though, because what we're going to do is something that we have never done before, and it probably has never been attempted in the podcast sphere, listening sphere, if you will. What we're going to do is our top 9, right? Everybody doing it for like Instagram and stuff like that, where you post like your top 9 pictures. We're going to do our top 9 paranormal news and events of 2019.
Okay.
What these are stories that we found to be interesting, and probably the most interesting stories that we talked about in 2019.
Yeah.
So this is going to be kind of like a 9-part series, if you will. Multiple podcasts talking about and counting down our top 9 most favorite paranormal news and events of 2019.
But they're going to be many. We're not going to go the full.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because there's only so much you can talk about when it comes to this sort of thing. So we figured for the holidays, whether you celebrate them or not, that's cool. It's up to you. But anyway, as a way of giving back to our listeners, all 5 of you, we have probably more than 5. We got more than 5. I'm just joking. But as a way to give back, we figured we would kind of do this because what we found is most podcasts have a tendency to sort of die out over the holidays and then sort of come back at the new year. Well, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
That's right. We're going to broadcast right on through
We'll just double
the
down.
holidays.
Or
We're
quadruple
just
down.
going to do it. Just going to power through it, right? So anyway, if you're tuning into the podcast for the very first time, very much appreciate having you here. We do appreciate the support that you have, that you've committed to listening to our wildly unsuccessful podcast, and we do appreciate that.
You had to fit it in there, didn't you?
So, all right, so what's this podcast actually all about?
Well, the CreepGeeks Podcast is an offbeat news podcast that takes a lighthearted approach to the paranormal, cryptid, strange, the silly, and trending tech topics circulating the web, broadcasting paranormal news and fun stories from our underground bunker in the mountains of western North Carolina.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there you go. If you have something you'd like to share with the podcast, we have made our podcast accessible for all.
Yes.
One way you can do support, or can support, if you want, if you feel up to it, is we have a phone number that you can call and you can leave us a voicemail.
Yep.
Because we're not going to answer the phone.
It's a voicemail inbox.
It's a voicemail inbox. If you have something you'd like to share, something weird, funny, wild, wacky, don't be scared. That phone number
is 575-208-4025.
Yes. And you can also support us on our podcast page on Facebook. It's called CreepGeeks Podcast. We share funny stuff, weird stuff, wacky stuff.
Yeah, hit like and follow so you can get notifications every time we put a post out or a new episode.
It's a pretty active Facebook page too. Lots of people share, and we do welcome it.
Yep.
You should check it out. It's pretty active. We also have CreepGeeks.com, where we have a contact form on CreepGeeks.com where you can fill out if you'd like to just kind of shoot a quick email out to us and tell us something that you'd like to share.
Yeah, so if you don't like calling or you're not good at typing, you don't have an excuse. You can call us or send us a message.
Yeah.
So,
because we appreciate that kind of thing. And if you'd like to remain anonymous, you can certainly do that, and we'll put you on the podcast. Maybe share your story, if you will.
Yeah.
So a couple different things that that we have out there for you. We also have a pretty active Instagram page and Twitters and all that sort of thing. So we are out there on all the socials. You can listen to our podcast all over the place. iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Pandora, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music. Anywhere you can pick up an RSS feed, you can find our podcast, which is very nice. If you're listening to it off any one of those things and you'd like to leave us a review, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
And the final way you can support the if you're out there shopping on Amazon and you want to buy something, if you use our link, because we have an affiliate link for Amazon, right? We get a little bit of a percentage. And it doesn't cost you anything at all, and it's sort of a passive way to support the show. Yeah. Because that's what helps keep the coffee flowing and gas in the albino rhino. And dog treats for our manager, Pepper, our little paranormal Pepper. So there you go.
That affiliate link is going to be amazon.com/shop/CheapGeek. And we'll also put the link in the show notes for the podcast.
Yes. And everything we talk about is in our show notes as well. We have links. So if you want to go back later on and check them out, you can certainly do that. There you go. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and kick off our top 9 most interesting paranormal and weird news events and stories of 2019.
These are our little mini holidays.
Yes, we're not going to do all 9 at one time. We're going to break it apart and break it up and do 9 individuals, bite-sized morsels, if you will, so you can listen to the podcast whenever you feel like it. Yeah. So if you're sitting in the car and everybody's in the mall shopping and you're just sitting out there hanging out, as a lot of people do.
A lot of dads.
Yep. You can listen to the podcast. You can take a little nap. You know, you can do that kind of thing. Okay. So anyway, this year, right. And this is, we should say right now that our top 9 is not in any particular order. Yeah. So we're not like this is the number one. This happens to be the first top 9 podcast episode that we're going to do, but it doesn't mean that this is the number one most important or anything like that. We have 9 that we thought were interesting and seemed to be pretty, newsworthy, if you will.
Had a lot of traction.
Yeah. So we decided to go ahead and just kind of put them out there in no particular order. And this one is Bigfoot's FBI file reveals strange story of a monster hunter and 15 mysterious hairs.
Oh, yeah. We talked about this earlier.
We sure did. Yeah. So what the deal was is that the FBI, right, was investigating some evidence. Some evidence was turned in to the FBI to try to help determine what these 15 hairs were. Okay. Of course, the internet blew it up and was like, oh my God, the FBI has a Bigfoot file. Must be real.
No, they acknowledged they opened a file.
Yeah. Somebody turned in some hairs. They opened up a file and tried to identify the hairs. Right? Mm-hmm. And that was pretty much the extent of their FBI Bigfoot file. Yeah. That we know. Because it could be something different, right? Yeah. So we have a couple different links for you, but this one comes from history.com where it says legends of large ape-like beasts can be found all over the world. Since the 1950s, the United States version of this has been Bigfoot. Yeah. And since 1976, the FBI has a file on him. See how dramatic that is? Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, in 1976, director Peter Byrne of the Bigfoot Information Center and Exhibition in Dallas, or in the Dallas, Oregon, is that, how do you say it, Dallas? Dallas?
Dallas? What? Where?
D-A-L-L-E-S. If you know what that pronunciation is and you'd like to send us a little message, that'd be great. But anyway, okay, so he sends in to the FBI 15 hairs attached to a tiny piece of skin. Ew. Yeah, because his organization couldn't identify what the animal was or where it came from, like where did that chunk of hair come from? And so they were hoping that the FBI might analyze it, and he also wanted to know if the FBI had analyzed suspected Bigfoot hair before, and if so, what the Bureau's conclusion was. Oh. Yeah. So at the time, Byrne was one of the most prominent Bigfoot researchers, right? And this is according to Benjamin Radford, who's the deputy editor of Skeptical Inquirer magazine. So. Okay. So anyway, long story short, boom, the hair goes in to be analyzed. And this is in 1976 when the hair, okay, so this is like right after I shouldn't say right after, but this is almost a decade after the infamous video footage from the Patterson Gimlin footage. Yeah. Or film, was kind of made. And so It's worth noting that the original evidence that launched the Bigfoot craze came sort of from that film, right? Along with the oversized footprints found in the same region. This is back in like 1958.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people believe that the Bigfoot creature in the Patterson Gimlin film was a costume prankster as well.
Oh.
But, Byrne always believed that the footage is real, so he went ahead and sent that hair in to be analyzed, asked the FBI, hey, can you analyze this? And kind of wanted to know what they know.
Yeah.
So, guess what?
What?
Surprisingly.
Or unsurprisingly.
Well, surprisingly, right?
Yeah.
They found that the hair didn't belong to Bigfoot.
Oh.
So in early 1977, he sent the hair back to Byrne, and this guy's name is Cochran. He's the guy, J. Cochran Jr. He was the assistant director of the FBI's Scientific and Technical Services Division, wrote Byrne back and said he couldn't find any evidence of the FBI analyzing any suspected Bigfoot hair, and that the FBI usually only examined physical evidence related to criminal investigations. But sometimes it made exceptions, right?
Yeah.
And it made those exceptions in the interest of research and scientific inquiry.
Okay.
What I think what happened was they got the chunk of hair, and a lab tech was like, ooh, let's check this out, because it's Bigfoot. It was kind of the Bigfoot craze.
Yeah.
So, unsurprisingly, or surprisingly, depending on what you think about Bigfoot, Cochran found the hair didn't belong to Bigfoot. In early 1977, he sent the hair back to Byrne, along with this scientific conclusion: the hairs are of deer family origin.
Yeah. I'm not
Deer
shocked.
hair. Big chunk of deer hair.
But then put your tinfoil hats on, because I'm sure everybody, when they read this earlier this summer, was like, he should have kept half the sample, because who knows, the government would have switched it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I don't think the level of paranoia and conspiratorial belief in the government was so strong back then.
In 77?
Yeah, I think, I mean, to an extent, but not at the level of mistrust that we have these days.
Yeah.
So I think in good faith, this was a serious interaction with the FBI, and they did their due diligence.
Sure.
Because,
it was still pretty fringe back then.
Yeah.
So pretty much what this means is that this is not evidence that the FBI endorsed or believes in the existence of Bigfoot.
Yeah, because that's what all the headlines said. It was like, FBI releases statement that they believed Bigfoot exists.
FBI says Bigfoot real.
Yeah. FBI has a real Bigfoot file. No.
Yeah.
And I hate that, because it was like, just like with the UFO stuff and the Navy and all the other things this year, it's like the headlines were believes or confirms exists. But when it comes down to it, it's no. They acknowledged there was a phenomenon, and then they did their due diligence.
Yeah. They said, okay, we don't have a file on Bigfoot. We don't research Bigfoot. We normally do crimes, but in the interest of scientific research, we're going to go ahead and test it for you.
And that's my biggest thing. Acknowledge and doing research is not the same.
But that's what they just want you to think.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, yeah, we don't really research Bigfoot. And it, basically.
Not the same as announcing, oh, it exists. Oh, gosh.
Well, anyway, the internet latched onto it, and this is why it's on our list.
Yep.
Yeah. And, there's layers to the case, too, where Byrne, who's 93, he doesn't seem to remember receiving the FBI's response. So he was shocked when he heard, too.
Yeah.
But evidently he had been out of the country for several months, and then the letter itself went to the executive vice president of the Academy of Applied Science, right, which was associated with Byrne's Bigfoot organization, and so they evidently got the information first. And then basically on June 5th, 2019, Byrne acted as though he was hearing that information about deer hair for the first time.
Oh.
And he's 93. He's like, what? What do you mean it's deer hair? So did he just think that Bigfoot, and, he just didn't get any information back? I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's a Bigfoot's FBI file. It's not really I shouldn't say Bigfoot's FBI file. FBI's Bigfoot file isn't really a file at all. They did what they were asked to do. They come back with deer hair.
Yeah.
That's just what they want you to think.
But, and then even suggesting that FBI has an open file on Sasquatch isn't even correct, because a lab tech did the testing, concluded it was a deer, closed the file, sent the information off.
Yeah. Now, what we all know what really happened was is that they started gathering these files of unexplained phenomena. Mm-hmm. And then eventually, a young, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, smart man came to work for the FBI.
Stop it.
Right? And he was a pretty spooky guy. So they called him Spooky Mulder, and they put him down in the basement. And he started cracking open these X-Files. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No.
And then there you go. So I wonder how many cryptid investigators / paranormal investigators / just basically weirdo investigators that we have these days, these little amateur sleuths, if you will, have really sort of started this whole thing because of X-Files. I mean, I'm almost 50, and the X-Files was a pretty I mean, if you like that kind of thing, the X-Files was, it turned into a really popular show.
Oh, yeah, I watched it growing up.
Yeah, in reruns and stuff. Yeah. So I know there's people out there like, I'm going to investigate and be like Mulder. You laugh.
I know.
I mean, I grew up watching In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy. He'll always be Leonard Nimoy to me. Yeah. And the only thing I did for me was just make the interest even greater. But, I wasn't like, I'm going to go out there and do In Search Of stuff. I just always had an interest in it. That and sci-fi and everything else. So, I mean, that influenced me. I'm sure X-Files influenced somebody else, just like Ghostbusters probably influenced a bunch of ghost hunters out there. They probably wouldn't have been it, though. I mean, because think about it. That's like one of the first, that is, I think, the first mainstream movie that got super popular where they showed, people out there actually seriously hunting ghosts. I mean, it was a comedy, but, they had to research grants. They were trying to know all these new different things, using equipment, categorizing ghosts, different phenomena, all that sort of thing. Trying to apply real scientific method to it based off the information and the equipment that they had.
And for me, I was more of a book nerd, but then certain things with TV, I really enjoyed X-Files, but for me it was like, like reading things more towards the paranormal side, to the point where I was like, maybe I should look into these paranormal investigators in the sense of like, Eileen Warren and stuff like that. Yeah. But never did I go, I should be in it.
You mean Lorraine Warren?
Lorraine, yeah, sorry.
Eileen.
I know, that's that.
That's that stupid song.
It's a serial killer.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
So, yeah, but...
Well, I mean, I read books too, but they weren't nearly as exciting. It's just watching the show.
Okay.
Chariots of the Gods and all that stuff. Okay, so we put this in there because it was one that it gained a lot of attention and it seemed to be blowing up all over the place, and people were freaking out, going, "Oh my God, the FBI has got a file on Bigfoot. They know about it."
No.
So in a recent turn of events, there was some news, right? And it's kind of weird. So it sort of relates to what we're talking about, and we'll explain why. The Russian media shows video of an alleged female Bigfoot running.
Huh.
And this actually came from Mysterious Universe. It's the first place that we seen the article. And we also have a link to the YouTube video, if you can see it, because it is Russia. But, the video went down for a while, and then they're like, oh, here's another link to it. So I don't know what the deal was with that. But
yeah, I had to use the other link to get it to...
Right.
Yeah.
So in Mysterious Universe, it says, Russian media shows video of alleged female Bigfoot running. And one of the quotes is, "She has a breast. This is a female." And, you don't normally hear that sort of thing on U.S. mainstream, like media. But so this television station in Russia, grtk.tv, covered an expedition to the Republic state of Borat, because I really can't pronounce any of this, Bashkortostan in southern Russia, right? I'm not good at that sort of thing. Yeah, don't even try it.
Yeah.
And so the Bigfoot experts couldn't explain a video that they received from the area showing to them what looked like a female Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. And so, the U.S. is becoming more and more skeptical on the political views of Russia, but should it listen to its Bigfoot news? Well, politics aside, that's just kind of a stupid way to look at things, because there's sightings of Bigfoot and Sasquatch, whether you believe it or not, all over the world. So why not Russia? Russia has its own thing, and they also have its own researchers, and the government in Russia has been investigating weird paranormal / psychic phenomenon and all that stuff for a long time.
And see, that's a very kind of slighted perspective or
it is.
Take, because, and it's not just, Bigfoot or politics or whatever. I mean, for a while there, they had those incredible UFO sightings, the meteors that you catch on the dash cams. They've had a lot of really interesting video footage come out of there.
And plus, they were, trying to do psychic stuff and remote viewing and everything else and everything to win the Cold War.
Oh, wow.
Is what we say. But I mean, they're, and they have their own like psychic universities and stuff like that. But, one of the quotes says, "This, I think, is the second such case in the world. So convincing because it's clear that this creature is running. Moreover, when we studied the freeze frames, I saw there at one turn a bulge. This is a woman's chest. Do you understand this is a female?" Now, I read this quote, and what I realized is that it sounded familiar to me. Right?
Yeah.
Excuse me. And GRTK.TV followed Igor Burtsev, head of the Moscow office of the International Center for Homology, to the Bursky district in the northern it's known as like Baskyria, right?
Yeah.
To investigate what it calls an amazing, even shocking video allegedly taken in 2016 by 3 girls and a young man driving, a Soviet car.
Yeah.
Right, which they call the Lada now, but anyway, it's an old car. But and the passenger sounded pretty scared and claimed that you could see the video something was chasing them, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's where it ties into us here at the CreepGeeks Podcast. We've done several events where we've actually gone out to conferences and conventions, right? And guess who's there speaking? Igor. So we know him. We've talked to him. He's bought some Bigfoot stuff from us. We've chatted a little bit and seen him multiple times. And whenever he sees us, he comes over and says hello, and we go say hello to him.
Yes.
And I like him. He's a spry older gentleman who evidently has a little bit of a history. But I really had no idea he was the head of the Moscow office of the International Center for Homology.
Yeah.
Or homology, not hermology, but
yeah.
So, and he would tell the stories of doing the research and finding, looking for, Sasquatch and Bigfoot, if you will, in Russia and telling stories and things like that. And he is a Russian expert for sure, man. He's an expert in this sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
he's snuck away during conventions just to talk to you. And
yeah.
Or go eat lunch.
He does his own thing, man. And there were people there to help him, kind of navigate the U.S. a little bit and kind of get around. And so he had people taking care of things for him and like helpers, right?
Yeah.
But, when Igor wants to do what Igor wants to do, he just does what he wants. And they're like, "Have you seen Igor?" I'm like, "Yeah, he said he was going to go get some lunch." And they were running after him trying to figure out where he went. He does what he has to do.
Yeah. So
Mr. Burtsev has over 50 years experience studying Bigfoot, Yeti, other cryptids in Russia. And as he points out, the creature in this video caught his eye because it was running. And, he believed that bulge he seen was a breast.
Yeah.
And so him and his team went out in the woods and they tried to find and take a look to see if there was any recent evidence of a Bigfoot. And he said that when we got into the forest, we saw broken branches. Yesterday they were there, completely fresh creases. He said, in local terms, this is a shirao, right?
Yeah.
And in Russia, it's like a goblin, right? In more scientific terms, it's a hominoid.
Yeah.
So before all the Yetis and the Bigfoots were actively called, these were all the names of the same creatures. So they were called shirali.
So it's like a folklore type terminology that's similar to Bigfoot.
Yeah, it's like a forest spirit believed to be a shapeshifter. Which could have a humanoid body with long fingers, glowing eyes, a horn on its forehead, and a woolly body, right? It's also known to wear its shoes backwards. It's rumored to be a trickster, right? And so they would blame these goblins, almost like when you have a gremlin, if you will.
Yeah.
And, people would blame them for missing tools. And it's also rumored to kill its victims by tickling them to death.
That's kind of horrid.
Yeah. And the only way to escape a shirao is to turn your clothes inside out and wear your shoes backwards.
That sounds kind of missing 411 to me.
Sort of.
Yeah.
So based on the fast movement shown in the video, the people basically, they saw that it was not hobbled by shoes on the wrong feet. So what was it? And there is nothing, this is mythology. Well, and also, very often is such a disease called delirium tremens. Yeah. That only her, they do not see. There is direct virtual reality. I don't know what that means.
Well, that's
exactly.
because you gotta love Google Translate when it comes to translating from Russian.
So, and that was from Anatoly Yakovlev.
Yeah, basically he's implying that some of these witnesses were either drunk or because delirium tremens is shaking and violent.
Like oh my God, they've
alcohol
seen
withdrawal,
they've seen something.
But
it's hysteria, I tell you.
Yeah. Burtsev, he disagrees. He saw the evidence in the forest and talked to a local guide and claimed to have seen something similar on a nearby mountain. Burtsev tells the reporter he believes there's a Bigfoot living in a city park in Ufa, which is the capital of the city, and he plans to come back and find it and the running female as well. He's like, they're everywhere. You just need to look around carefully when you go into the forest.
Yep.
And he's actually said similar when we've gone to these conventions.
Yeah.
You'll find the evidence. You just need to look carefully. So.
Yeah. And, a funny aside, I spent time in Russia.
Oh.
Yep, sure did.
Yes.
So, yeah, when I read the article and seen it was Igor, I'm like, Igor, what's up? Because we haven't seen him in a while, and we knew that he was going to go back to Russia. I wasn't exactly sure where he was from, but, to see this and see the article, and, I can hear him speak. When I read that, I'm like, that's Igor. So there you go. We had a friend of our show, Mr. Igor Burtsev, is out there doing his thing, man. Been doing it for 50 years. He is one of the people I think is full on credible. So when he talks, I listen to some of the stuff that he was saying. To me, this is definitely a passion. So for him, and he doesn't seem. How do I say this without being too, it doesn't seem he's in it to make a name for himself and become famous. He's in it for the science, man.
He's genuine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Igor is actually a really nice guy to us and good friend of the show. And if he comes back, we'd like to see him again. But otherwise, I can see him out there running around, yelling. He takes it seriously. Yeah, I will say this, at one of the conferences or conventions we went to, people were being kind of loud, and he went and told the audience they should be quiet because people were asking questions, and it's, kind of disrespectful to not let them answer or ask the question, excuse me, and get the answer. In other words, hey, this person showed up. They want their question answered. You should be quiet and listen.
Yeah. I'm watching the video.
But he's Russian, and it came across like an angry old Russian man just yelling at him. So it's pretty funny. Anyway, Igor, good job.
Yeah, I'm watching this video now. I'm not really sure.
It's kind of, it's an old video.
Yeah.
And it is video from back in the day, but,
but it seems very
before
scary.
2014.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not before 2014. That's when they stopped making that car. So it was around 2016 is when the video allegedly happened. So we do have links to the video so you can kind of see it if you'd like. But there you go. So pretty much what we had for our top 9 for this particular episode of the CreepGeeks Podcast, episode number 150. And our first top 9 entry was Bigfoot being investigated by the FBI.
Yeah.
Right.
And Bigfoot in the news.
And Bigfoot in the news. And it just happened that we have a correlation because we know him. We know Igor. So it was great. Yeah. So there you go. It sort of all ties in together. What do you think?
I think that's pretty cool.
Yep.
So I hope these mini episodes, people dig them because we're gonna cover the small stuff and the trending stuff and what we thought was important.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty much what the top 9 was for 2019.
Yeah.
So, and since we are a paranormal and weird news show, we've been paying attention to this kind of thing. We've been gathering a list all year long to do this. Yeah. So anyway, that's going to be about it for this particular podcast, the CreepGeeks Podcast. So hopefully you'll join us next time for our top 9 paranormal news and events of 2019 2.
Okay.
Which will be episode number 151. So there you go. This has been the CreepGeeks Podcast. Very much appreciate you guys tuning in and listening. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see you later. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.